Welcome to the 11th video on this series devoted to using social media as an academic. In this one, we're going to see if it's useful to involve students with social media in our courses. Up to this moment, we have been paying attention to social media just to see if they are useful for us, if they are useful to disseminate our work, if they are useful to get us visibility, an audience, a network of collaborators, and to build an academic personal brand. Out of the three books I'm going to recommend you, two of them are devoted to that aspect of academic life, that is, using social media as a researcher. The other one pays attention to use social media as a teaching tool, but it's not the most important part of that book. So the thing is, when somebody think about the children, when somebody think about using social media with our students, our poor students, and the thing is that many educators have done that. Many educators have used social media in higher education with their students and they have published their experiences. Actually, literature is vast, but it's rich in anecdotes. So I've prepared a Zotero library with a few references that you can use as a starting point. The link is this one, and you can find it on the slides. So what can we learn from that research? Well, first of all, most of the literature, especially that is 10 years old or older, paid plenty of attention to Facebook. Actually, at that moment, it made sense because the students were there. The thing is that Facebook is no more the main platform for people our students' age. Certainly, they haven't quit Facebook. After all, their parents, their grandparents, and the family are there, but it's not the major platform for them. And even when Facebook was cool, it wasn't really clear that Facebook was a really useful tool for the teaching learning process, as you have in that in those references I'm providing you. So my advice again is against using Facebook. You shouldn't use Facebook as a professional tool, as an academic, and you shouldn't waste time trying to use Facebook with your students. Don't do it. Regarding Twitter, you may think, well, it's your favorite platform. Probably you're going to tell us that we should use Twitter with our students. Not really. And the thing is that there has been also plenty of literature discussing Twitter and using Twitter with the students. But the thing is that Twitter is used even less by people our students' age, even less than Facebook. So probably the reason for higher education educators trying to use Twitter with their students is that Twitter is a platform they know very well, they find it useful, and they think that it can be useful also for their students. In addition to that, the uses of Twitter with students in higher education settings have been rather unimaginative. I mean, they have been using Twitter as forums, they have been using Twitter as a kind of chat room between students and educators. They have been using Twitter to post notices about the courses, and they have also tried to transfer some practices from conferences to lectures like the back channel. So even though in a conference it may make sense to have a back channel where people attending the conference are discussing the lectures and they are discussing the talks and several issues, I don't really see if that makes sense in the middle of a lecture in university. Moreover, as expected, students tend to consume rather than produce content, and they drop out early. And for those that start rather excited about the possibilities that Twitter may offer them, in the end, they end up disappointed. Needless to say, not everything is negative in regards to using Twitter with your students. The thing is that those educators tweeting about personal matters that not only about their teaching and research, that is, those exposing a comprehensive self, improve their perception among their students, even though they are not using Twitter in their courses, and even though the students find those educators by mere chance. I know it's not that encouraging. I think that these experiences have two major issues. The first one is that using Twitter for something that can be best resolved using other tools is pointless. I mean, if you are using Moodle or Blackboard, you already have forums. You don't need your students to publish on Twitter the issues they have with their courses, okay? And if you want a chat room, you already have chat rooms in most tools. For instance, if you're using Microsoft Teams, you have a chat room. So you don't need to force your students to post questions regarding a course on public in Twitter. In addition to that, students are not experiencing the most important advantage of Twitter. From my point of view, and I try to be very clear on that, the most important advantage that you can obtain from using Twitter is growing a network of followings. Remember, not your audience, your followings. That fish net you are going to use to find relevant, interesting information. And the thing is that in a short course, they don't have the time to achieve that. And moreover, even for optional courses, they are not really that interested in your topic. I'm sorry to say that. Yes, they are enrolled in the course, they are interested, they are not really devoted to the topic like you are. So they are not going to get the advantages from Twitter and from that following base that you can get. Indeed, I tried to do that in one of my courses. I didn't approach it like a forum or a chat room. I created an account for that course, and the idea is that the students were going to follow that account. The idea is that the account was going to publish contents related to the topics covered by the course, not publishing notices about the day-to-day workflow of the course, and they were expected to find interesting information for the fellow students regarding the topics of the course, and they could just add the account, mention the account, or they can send a direct message if they were not interested in publishing those tweets on their account. And the thing is that participation was really low, very low, and they didn't like it the whole time. So in the following courses, in the following years, I decided to simply drop the idea. So the thing is that you may wonder, well, that's why you are using Facebook and Twitter and they are not using those platforms that much. Maybe if you go after your students to Instagram or to TikTok, maybe you're going to get a different response. I'm unconvinced about that. On one hand, I'm afraid that they are not going to like us, their uh, university professors, and their fellow students to be there, mixing with their circles they already have created on different platforms. Maybe they don't simply want to mix people from their academic life with their real life they're sharing in on social media. And in addition to that, no matter the platform, consuming content is going to be much easier and much more common than producing content. So, in order to deliver content to our students, we don't really need to choose a fashionable social media platform, right? So, instead of thinking about one single social media platform to be a silver bullet for teaching in university, maybe we can try a small number of platforms, right? After all, I'm telling you, you should have a website, a Google Scholar profile, a Twitter account, an Orsted profile, and a Publons profile. So I'm asking you to use 5 different platforms just to create a single, comprehensive, meaningful academic persona. So you're not going to solve all of your problems using TikTok or Instagram, okay? So we can try to explore a number of them, and for instance, you can have a Twitter account, provide contents that are of interest for students in that account. Of course, not using that account as the only channel of communication, and don't forcing your students to follow that account, but just telling them, okay, look, there is this Twitter account for the course. If you're using Twitter and you want to follow that account, just do it. And of course, for the rest of the students, the same contents are going to be provided, delivered in different ways. And of course, you can find interesting material in different platforms, maybe in YouTube, maybe in TikTok. You can share that with the students, but you shouldn't try to force them to deliver content from those platforms, right? If some students, a number of them, a few of them, want to deliver some exercise, some work by using a different medium, and they want to use, I don't know, Twitter or TikTok or Instagram or whatever, welcome that. But don't force students to use some platform because you think that it's going to be fashionable, or thinking that they are going to like it because they are young, or at least younger than you. And that was what I have to say about involving students and social media in your courses. It's something that it's complicated. Don't just drop the idea, but you have to think about that very carefully. You have to read the literature, and I think that you have to have a very sensible idea of what you can expect from them. That said, in the following video, we're going to discuss the bad and the ugly things of using social media in academia. I have introduced a number of them. I have dropped some breadcrumbs about the bad things about this, and we're going to devote a whole video to all of that.